Hey Hermit, Dara here. I thought that it would be probably a wise idea to give you a little tour of my bookshelves because, as you know, one of my main goals for this channel is to gift myself some accountability to actually get through some of my unread books. So I thought it might be kind of fun, both for you guys if you're as nosy about people's bookshelves as me, and for me to just take stock of what is currently on the shelves, just so that I can measure my progress over what I am assuming will be many upcoming videos. So without further ado, I'm gonna swivel that camera around and give you the little tour. Okay, so in here in my living room, I have these three gorgeous shelves that we made from old antique floorboards, and I'm absolutely in love with them. They're actually quite new additions to the house. Now I want to talk you through the book stash. These are all fiction, some memoirs, a little bit of poetry, a couple of essay collections, but they're not really my non-fiction collection. So in my office I actually have probably about 110 non-fiction books that cover topics such as personal development, health, wellness, business, all kinds of fun stuff, and I will include a little bit of an overview of those shelves too once I've finished guiding you through this. And I'm also thinking that I'm going to do a video that is like my digital bookshelves, because I have an awful lot of unlistened to audible books and many an unread Kindle book. So let's start with the top shelf. Now the top shelf is filled with my read books, and you might think that I do not look like much of a reader if these are all of the read books that I have, but I'm actually quite comfortable with giving away books, donating books, lending my friends books, so I don't actually keep everything that I've read. I haven't been through all of these yet to see if there's any that I want to get rid of, but for now this is what we have. I might film an unhaul video at some point. I will give you a little closer look at some faves of mine. So Summer Sisters by Judy Bloom. I think I read that for the first time one summer when I was about 12, and I read it at least once every couple of years, sometimes more. Big fave of mine. Maeve Binchy, I love her books. They were some of my earliest adult reads. Again, I started reading them around the age of 11 and 12 because my mum had quite a big collection of these books. Really loved it. Gone with the Wind is actually the book that I most often describe as my favourite book, and I'm not even sure if that's actually true. I've only read it once when I was 19, and it made me absolutely sob, like ugly cry, like the worst, most disgusting crying. And because I'm somebody who doesn't really cry, I think that made me think that it was my favourite book because it was the book that made me feel the most. I think I want to reread it at some point and see if that's actually the case, because I'm not entirely sure that I did love it that much. We'll see. Circe, one of the most beautiful books known to man. Rhett Butler's People. Okay, so if you are a Gone with the Wind lover, or you wanted to be a Gone with the Wind lover but you were so, let's say, pissed off at the lack of closure, read Rhett Butler's People. So this is obviously not written by Margaret Mitchell, but it's an authorised novel based on Gone with the Wind, and this provides the answers and the endings that we were all hoping for. Jane Eyre, firm favourite. I've read that so many times. Beautiful. Isabel Allende, you will notice me talking about her a lot on this channel. This is my favourite of her books, Of Love and Shadows. Beautiful. Some more Maeve Binchy's. Rebecca, old classic. This is another one that I've read so many times. A Little Love Song by Michelle McGorrian. She's the author of Goodnight Mr. Tom, which you might have heard of. And then I've got a few memoirs at the end. So now let's move on to our unread books, which are the ones that fill these two shelves here. Now, You can tell by looking at these shelves that they're sort of organized by color, but not in the order of the rainbow. I just wanted to have like lots of color, lots of contrast. I wanted my shelves to be aesthetically pleasing, and I actually did try doing it full on like in the order of the rainbow first, and that just wasn't as satisfying. So I'm actually really liking the way these look right now. And sorry that my camera action is a little bit shaky, but we are where we are. So you'll see that we have kind of reds and dark reds and purples, unread, unread, unread. They're all unread. What am I talking about? This was one of the books that I bought for myself for my birthday, The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. These two books were both 50p, and they're in immaculate condition, hardbacks. It's insane to me. And then we have some more. Some of these are my books, some are borrowed books. So for example, this one belongs to my aunt. She lent that one to me. There are oh, that one does too. That belongs to my aunt. She has an epic book collection, so we regularly swap. Yellow books, so stunning, so eye-catching. This one was another one of my birthday books, Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. Then we have a few more bits and pieces. So you'll see that I have a few series of books that are broken up. So Tales of the Otherworld by Kelly Armstrong. If you love anything that's a little bit fantasy-esque, so the vampires, the werewolves, the witches, then this is a great series because it talks about all of those and more. The Storm Sister by Lucinda Riley is one of the installments of the Seven Sisters series, which I've only read the first one, but I think I have most of the others. I think I'm gonna like them, otherwise I wouldn't keep buying them. City of Sin by Catherine Arnold. Now I actually bought this because Catherine Arnold was my creative writing tutor when I did my degree, and I found out later that she's also a local politician near where I live, so it's very strange. But City of Sin, London and its Vices, she has a few different books that are along this same theme. So they're very, like, they're not fiction, they're non-fiction, but historical, specifically about London. Oh, okay. Couldn't squeeze that back on. Then we have a little pile of green books before moving on to some white ones. So Becoming, that is on my 21 books to read in 2021 list. Kindred was a birthday book that I gifted myself. This one looks really interesting. So this one's so old it is not even on Goodreads. Housekeeping in the 18th Century. I just know that's going to be full of joys to really fuel my Victorian wife life. I was born in the wrong century. Okay, then we are moving on to some of the blues. I did mention that Isabel Allende is somebody that you'll hear an awful lot about on this channel because I think her writing is immaculate. Then we're moving on to some orange books. Daisy Jones and the Six is one that I'm really looking forward to reading. I actually bought this at an airport when I had a flight delay back in the days when we could just jet off all over the place. Loving the Time of Cholera is one that so many people have recommended to me, and yet I've just not managed to make it through yet, but I will. And then we've got some lovely blue books before moving over here. So The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, that was another one of my birthday gifts to myself. This was actually a birthday gift from somebody else for my 19th birthday, and I've kept the sleeve of the 150th anniversary edition, but I have actually read some of the stories out of there. I haven't actually read all of them, but I definitely will. I love me some Sherlock Holmes. So then we have Oscar Wilde. That I have not read anything by Oscar Wilde, and I feel like I am such a failure of an English student for admitting that, but it is what it is. Not got there yet. Then we have some more reds. All of these sound really, really good, of course, otherwise they wouldn't be on these shelves. I love pretty much anything I've read by Angela Carter, so I'm looking forward to that one. I've got a couple of collections of essays here. This one I'm definitely looking forward to. So Fanny Flagg wrote Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, which I absolutely adored, and I actually for some reason thought that was her only book, but then I came across this one and snapped it up. Then we have two books by Anna Marie Mclemore. Stunning covers, also inspired by fairy tales, which is a fave thing of mine. I love anything like magical and whimsical, particularly if it's got influences from fairy tales, so I'm definitely looking forward to diving into those. It was actually effort to track these down, but I'd seen them and I really wanted them, so you know, ask and you shall receive. And then we have a little stack here of some black and grey books. And as I've gone through this, I've actually noticed a few books on these shelves where I'm like, do I really want to read that? So I might actually do that on haul video that I mentioned sooner rather than later. And then of course we have a few plants. So this one is Swedish ivy that came from my grandma, and then some other little plant babies up there that actually used to live just dispersed among the shelves before the book buying got so out of control. This little box here my granddad actually made for me, but it's where my collection of bookmarks live. And then right here we have a deck of tarot cards, but it's not any set of tarot cards, it's actually my TBR tarot game, which I will do a video on at some future date if you'd be interested in seeing that. So that, my friends, is the collection of unread books, largely unread fiction books. But let me hop you through to my office now so I can give you a little peek at some of the non-fics to, I don't know, see if they inspire you to start reading different genres. Okay, so then we have right here some more health-based books. So sleep, food, self-care, all of that kind of thing on this stack here. Some beautiful spines, I might add, really nice colours. Then we have more magical books, so tarot, witchcraft, spells, love anything a little bit magical and spiritual, so have to have those on the shelf. Here we have like household books, so we've got, this one is about feng shui, this one is Mrs. Hinch's book, and this one is a great decluttering book. And then we have some books about books, so love a book about books. So this is a collection of forgotten authors, which is really, really great, particularly if you love a lot of classic literature and more of the just like old, like more dated authors, but you're kind of sick of just hearing the same recommendations for the same things all the time. This has, I mean, look at all my annotations. It just has like little chapters about the different authors, the kind of books that they write, and gave me some really brilliant recommendations because I actually do love reading works of classic fiction. The Novel Cure, which was a fabulous gift from a friend of mine. Let me just show you. So basically there is a cure for all kinds of feelings and illnesses. It'll give you a book recommendation. So for example, if you're feeling dissatisfied, so the novel cure for dissatisfaction is Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. The novel cure for loneliness, we have Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, I, Claudius by Robert Graves, or Tale of the City by Armistead Maupin. The novel cure for, not going to cross-reference for being exceptionally brainy is Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger. The Cure for Breaking Up is High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. You see how it's just a really entertaining read and also gives you some killer book recommendations. Then we have Not Just Jane, which talks about some female authors that are really not even close to as well known as Jane Austen, but still had a huge impact on British literature. This was a really great read that I thoroughly enjoyed. And then we have How to Be a Heroine, which I have not yet jumped into, but I'm feeling like I want to, so I'm actually going to pull this one out. And then we have Insights from 100 Great Speeches, and if I could tell you just one thing, which is like a collection of essays that's lent to me by a friend and I haven't read it yet. Then we have some books on creativity up top, these two. We have some general personal development books. This Misfit to Maven was actually written by a friend of mine. It's a great read. And then we have a couple of how would I want to describe them? So it's more like reconnecting to your inner goddess, like wild woman thing. Not fluffy at all. Really, really good and stunning covers. And you can't really see, but this one's actually iridescent. It's beautiful. And then we have a Victorian Lady's Guide to Love, Sex, Marriage, Manners, all of that stuff. Very entertaining. And then last but not least, we have this little stash here. So we have some breathwork books, different types of breathwork, some studies on breath in general and how important and healing it can be, a couple of books on overcoming fear, and a couple of books on overcoming trauma. So as you can see, not just a fiction reader around here. In fact, only about half and half. So hopefully by looking at the variety on these shelves, you're feeling a little bit inspired to pick up something different, but let me know if that's the case. Okay, so we have a couple of the shelves in my office. Right up here we have a bunch of different business books. So some that are really well known, such as the 4-Hour Work Week, and then some that are maybe less well known, such as Clockwork or Pick 3. I haven't read all of these. I have read some. So I've read the Fire Starter Sessions, Being Boss, which is very highly annotated. There are so many little tabs sticking out of the top of that one. Pick 3 and Manage Your Day to Day. I've also read odd chapters from other ones because with non-fiction, sometimes I use them more as like dip in, dip out reference guides than cover to cover kinds of reads. This stack here is, they're all like either marketing, branding, or creative thinking. So we've got a good old variety there. The ones down here are money or wealth consciousness books. So I have read all of these. So these 4, these 2 are newer editions because I needed more money books to add to the rotation. So that's that category. Here we have astrology, like lunar work, I Ching, which is, it's like an ancient Chinese astrology, Enneagram, some, like this is, it's actually not a book about crystals, this is more about the lunar stuff. Cosmos and Psyche, which is fascinating. So this is drawing correlations between major events in history and the astrology of the time. And then you can see just some other more spiritual books. So meditations, intuition, different types of health, sacred contracts, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So many great reads here. If you're interested in shadow work, then there's Existential Kink and The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. A real variety. So these are these 2. And I've got 2 more shelves on the other side of my office. So there you have it, a tour of my bookshelves. So a couple of questions for you. Number 1, are you judging me terribly for having so many unread books? If you are, well, shit, you're really going to be judging me when we go through that Kindle stash. Second question is, after seeing what's on my shelves, what should I read next? please pick something I already own. But comment below and tell me what you think should be added to my next TBR list, and I will of course oblige and maybe even film you a video about it. So comment below, let me know. That was a rhyme, unintentional. And of course, subscribe if you want to hang around for future uploads. Talk to you later.